Good morning, Makala. How you doing? You well?
I'm very well, thank you, Joe. You?
I'm good, blessed, always, in all ways.
Good.
And we're here to talk about all things wealth creation, your area of strength. Um, Something that grabbed my attention on social was the wealth check, which is a scheme that you've devised to help mentor and bring about better knowledge and understanding of how young women in particular manage their finances, create that wealth. I want you to talk a little bit about that. But before we get into that, Makala, who are you? Give our readers, viewers, listeners a little bit of an insight into who you are and what you do.
So, yeah, thanks for that, Joel, for that introduction. I'm Makala Green. I've been in financial services now for 17 years. And basically, I provide all things wealth management, but it goes far beyond that because I'm very passionate about helping people create, build their net worth, create wealth in the industry, and also ultimately achieve financial freedom. So I'm always on a mission to continually strive and do better within my career and my profession. Hence why, I branch out and do a number of different things.
As I say, it was the wealth check that really caught my attention because I guess this year, it's been a funny old year, isn't it? But it's been while there's been peaks and troughs. One thing that didn't escape me was the opportunity to get your financial affairs in order. So talk about the wealth check and why you brought it about. What's the aim and objective?
Well, the aim for the wealth check really is to help individuals gain control. I used to get a lot from people, stating, how do I open up an ISA? How do I start a mortgage? How do I do these things? So I think we're living in an age now where a lot of people want to be able to do things themselves. They want to be able to manage their finances independently. And it's all about giving them the right tools, the right strategies to control their finances, also be confident as well. I think a lot of people don't like talking about finances, they're not very open. And it's about helping people express finances and feel comfortable, talking about finances with different people. It's very normal for me, for individuals to come over to me. I say, I'm a financial planner. And the first thing they tell me about is, oh, I've got a mortgage and I'm in debt this amount. And, I've got this amount of money in my bank. But you really would tell somebody else that. And I find it's just good to be very open with your finances, obviously, without, telling the world, and also stay committed, because I think that is a key thing. A lot of people can really easily start managing their money, budgeting, investing, buying property, but it's remaining committed and actually keeping that wealth within your family that you can actually build that enough to pass on to future generations. So it's about the helping, delivering control, giving people the confidence and giving them the right tools to keep them committed.
What's the take-up been like? I can imagine there's a lot of interest, especially this year, like I said, with people wanting to look after the pennies and really use this moment of, reflection, this reset, call it what you like, as a chance to get their house in order. So what's the take-up been like? Have you been overwhelmed? Have you been surprised?
Yeah, it's definitely been overwhelming from all kinds of avenues. So areas where people are, and I've done recent posts about this, areas where people are finding they've got a lot more money now to, to invest and put away. So they're thinking, I might as well capitalize on the current situation that they're in. A lot of those people are either on furlough or they've had no changes as a result of COVID. Or you've got generally some people who have had massive changes as well, and it's about giving them the right steps to maintain their financial well-being and their balance and keep them positive throughout these difficult times. So it's definitely been an overwhelming year from both avenues, I think.
I know that there's going to be a lot of youngsters, teenagers, men and women, boys and girls, who are going to be looking at you and saying, yeah, but is she rich now? She got money. You know what I mean? Yeah. So for those people who need to see the person who is advising them in a affluent and, I guess, elevated financial position, is that the case for you, Makala? And for those who need to understand that, knowledge doesn't necessarily come from somebody who's executed the strategy, but someone who's able to teach a strategy. Help impart that and help them to understand that.
Yeah, I'm a strong believer in, practice what you preach. So I think it's one of those things where I started off in the bank at 16. So I've been in this industry from a very young age. And as a result of that, I was able to buy my first property at 19. So it's just it's been one of those things that's been a very natural progression for me because that was all I knew. So definitely, it's not something that I got into quite late. I definitely had a financial journey. Everyone goes through different journeys with their finances. I'm not going to say everything's perfect, but in terms of wealth creation and the areas that I advise, I have all of those things. And that's what gives the advantage to help me to advise my clients better, because I not only have the knowledge and the expertise, but I also have been there and done that. So yeah.
What's the most common mistakes you see people make when it comes to their finances, Makala? I mean, in terms of, I really like to focus on youngsters, but I guess these habits are universal. There's no probably age bracket. So what's the most common mistakes people make?
They don't talk about it. They suffer in silence with many financial issues. Instead of, it's just like, okay, let's look at a teenager scenario then. They've been given the opportunity they've been offered a credit card. They don't really fully understand what a credit card is. And instead of speaking with somebody else to say, hey, what's your experience with credit cards before I take this out? All of a sudden, they've taken this thing out. I've spoken to many teenagers and they said, well, I didn't know it wasn't my money. And I was like, well, whose money was it if you didn't understand that it wasn't your money? So it's just little things like that. If they had asked someone, guaranteed if they had asked an adult, most people have had some experience with a credit card and they would have given them a bit of heads up. I remember being in the bank at 18 years old and somebody stating to me, don't take out a credit card. Whatever you do, just don't take out a credit card. And that kind of stuck with me. I've definitely had credit cards now, but it's like that kind of stuck with me from a young age, not to take out the credit card, because I just thought it's not something, if you can't maintain it very well, it may not be the best source. And then I think going forward onto adults, I think it only sometimes gets worse because we hide things away from our partners, from our spouses, from our friends. And I just think that we all go through different journeys, so we would all benefit from communicating. So I think communication is a big thing. And that would be one thing that I would say, communicate more, speak with someone with some expertise or even a friend, and just kind of get a second opinion on things sometimes before you go plunging in.
Those are some of the worst things. What are some of the good things that people do? And what have you learned maybe this year that you didn't know prior to 2020 beginning?
I've learned this year that definitely having multiple streams of income is more important now more than ever. And I think it's something that's not going to go away. I think going forward, it's definitely going to be the it thing. Before it was a thing that, normally you'd be wealthy, to have multiple sources of income, but I think everybody needs a different income from their main source, because it's like your plan B. So I think people who went through furloughs or lost their job, they've now gone on to do other things, but there was nothing stopping them from doing those other things, in conjunction with their main source of income. So I think it's important to have those multiple pockets, because I found that the people who did have multiple income streams, they might have lost one in one area, but they're not suffering because they're managing to survive financially through other sources of income. So I think that was the main thing for me this year, because I've always been an advocate of multiple income, passive income, some people call it the side hustle, but I just think now more than ever, it's a must do, and I preach it to all of my clients.
I guess people might look at you and think, well, she must know what's coming next then, innit? Like, what should I invest my money in? She must know. Do you get that question a lot? And how hard is it for you working in the wealth creation space and I guess looking after portfolios of people's finances that matter, that are going to help define your success as a businesswoman, as a company. So how difficult is it to keep your finger on the pulse and to articulate that and kind of keep yourself up to speed as well? Because I guess you want to make money for yourself. That never stops, does it?
Yeah. Number one, I definitely don't have a crystal ball, so I can't look into the future, and I think that rings true for most people. But in light of what you're saying, I always have to be on my A game. So I always have to be, in the loop of what is going on, and also how you can capitalize. Many people are unaware that you can actually capitalize in both markets, regardless what's going on in the stock market. You can capitalize, and the most richest investors actually like when there are downturns and when there are recessions, because they're able to manipulate the markets. They're able to buy very low. It's almost like investments are on sale. So it looks like a very terrible market for those who have little knowledge maybe of investments, but I think those who have a good amount of experience, they look forward to markets like this. And I think you need markets like this to allow new investors to come in. So it's never really deemed, from my point of view, as a bad time. But that's kind of like the information what I encourage and educate my clients with, who may not be aware of things like that, and how to capitalize in poor markets.
Looking forward, 2021, what constitutes success for you? I mean, how would that year go if you can even begin to envisage it? Because it's just been an absolute madness this year. So no one's plans came to fruition. Well, few people's. I know there's a few people that did succeed actually, but very few people had the type of success they were probably expecting. So yourself, from a wealth creation point of view, from a mentoring point of view, how does 2021 end up a success for Makala?
Yeah, I'm always planning and setting goals. That's my thing. I've done that for many years. I'm always planning, years in advance. And I think 2021, 2020, yes, we can't deny, we've had an awful year. So many terrible things have happened. But I think if we look at the positives in terms of 2020, I think it gave everyone the opportunity to just sit back and reflect as to, especially in the first lockdown, I think, as to what's the best way going forward. And for me, I was really able to, upskill in areas that I found I really wanted to spend time in. And also I was able to work on a number of projects. So I've got some exciting things that's going to be launching in 2021. I can't speak of them now, but definitely watch this space and look out for them. We're going to have to do another interview. We're going to have to do another one. And I will reveal all. You'll be the first. You'll be the first to know.
Well, I hope so. Because I want to keep a closer track on your progression. There's so many strengths to what you do. I hope people go in, and where can people check you out? I hope they go and look into what you do. Where would you like people to follow you? I know you're on Instagram, but what do you want to promote?
Yeah, definitely the Instagram. I find you do get the up-to-date information of what I'm promoting, and also you get the benefits of the education and the financial literacy and the empowerment that I put out on the Instagram. If you want more maybe insightful things about what's going on in the market, maybe follow me on LinkedIn. On there I post more, I think more formal stuff, as opposed to the more relaxed approach on the Instagram. So you can have a bit of both if you want.
And for the mentoring scheme specifically, who are you targeting? What does she look like?
Yeah, since becoming the first Black female chartered financial planner, the mentoring, I get a lot of females that reach out to me, especially young girls, and it's like a joy to my heart, because it's something that I've always been passionate about. I got into finances at a very young age, and when I was in the industry at that time, there was no young Black females, and even still to this day, it's still very, there's still not much around, and that kind of worries me sometimes. And I think as being a female that's been in the industry 17 years, I always love to put back in whatever way I can. So I take out a fair amount of time and do, you know, seminars, mentoring sessions, one-to-one sessions with young females, generally from various different backgrounds, that really want to understand how to build confidence in the world of finance, because we are still a very male-dominated industry, and also how to get started. But I always get, you know, a lot of the males saying, "Don't forget about me." So I still do take time out, you know, for young males as well. So, but yeah, I would say my passion is really with the young females.
Well, I'm glad I know you then, because I can access whenever I need all of that knowledge. Listen,
Yeah.
continued success, Makala. We've known each other a long, long time. Love to see your growth. Love to bump
Thank
into
you.
you as many years as I did go, and catching up and just seeing what you've done. And you've gone from strength to strength since then. So wishing you all the best moving forward. Is there anything before we wrap up that you'd like viewers, listeners to be aware of?
No, just stay tuned. Stay tuned. Watch the space. Keep watching. Keep
Thanks for your
still,
time.
and keep up to date with your finances. Be confident and try and keep as much control and try and stay committed. That's my put back.